Welcome, everyone. Everybody is just joining now, so we'll give 1 or 2 minutes here for everybody to connect in. All right, it looks like we have quite a few attendees joining us today. So thank you all for taking the time to join us. I am Alicia Meehan, the Manager of Communications and Engagement for the College of Graduate Studies. For our session today, closed captions are available. And as well, we will have the session recorded and available online on our website shortly following this session. I would now like to introduce Peter Simpson, the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies.
Thanks, Alicia. As you say, I'm Peter Simpson, and I'm the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies here at the University of British Columbia's Okanagan campus. We've got a great team here today to give you guidance on your path to graduate school. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Syilx Okanagan Nation and their people. UBC Okanagan is situated on their traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory. And I know that you're joining us today from many different places, and I acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. UBC Okanagan and the College of Graduate Studies are committed to truth and reconciliation for Indigenous people. UBC Okanagan has pledged to support Indigenous students, culture, and scholarship through our commitments in response to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission's calls to action. Congratulations on starting your application and on taking the first step to apply for graduate studies at UBC Okanagan. Thanks for taking the time to join us here today. We know that applying to graduate school can be confusing and stressful, and we hope that today's session will help make the application process smoother for you. I'm pleased that you're considering joining our community of graduate students pursuing advanced degrees and innovative research. Whether you're passionate about exploring a particular research topic, looking to expand your knowledge in a certain area, or you're returning to school to make a career change, there's a place for you here at UBC Okanagan. We have 57 graduate programs that bring together students from around the world, seeking innovative solutions for tomorrow's challenges and changing how we live in the Okanagan Valley and beyond. UBC's Okanagan campus bolsters the strength of UBC as one of the 40 best universities in the world. Our campus offers a small and close-knit community in the Okanagan Valley, a supportive space where students and faculty are empowered to thrive. Graduate students play a vital role in shaping the world around us and in advancing UBC's vision of inspiring people, ideas, and actions for a better world. Best wishes for success with your application and whatever the future holds for you. I look forward to meeting some of you next year as University of British Columbia Okanagan graduate students. Thank you, and back to you, Alicia.
Thank you, Peter, for that warm welcome. We are also joined today by a number of staff from the College of Graduate Studies, as well as campus partners. So our campus partners will be presenting later on, and our College of Graduate Studies staff will be here to answer your questions at the end of our info session. If you have any questions during this presentation, please drop them into the question and answer box located usually at the bottom of your screen there, and we'll answer those at the end. So we are going to start today's session with an overview of the application process, followed by some things you should consider before you apply. We'll go through eligibility requirements, how to prepare your application. We'll provide some information about funding your studies. Our campus resource partners will do a quick presentation. We'll talk about what to do after submitting your application, and then we'll finish with a question and answer session. So I'd like to now introduce you to Damien Bell, our business analyst and training lead, and he will be going through the presentation with you today. Damien?
Thanks, Alicia. Good morning, everyone, and thanks for joining us. As Alicia said, my name is Damien Bell, and I'm the business analyst and training lead for the College of Graduate Studies. Just an overview of the application process. The application has three main players. That's the applicants, College of Graduate Studies, and the graduate program. It's important that you review the list of available programs and determine which program you want to apply to. You can find a list of the programs and the requirements at gradstudies.ok@ubc.ca. Ensure that you submit application, and we generally have an application system, not general, we have an application system where you'd submit your application package, and that will be located online as well. If accepted via the application system, submit official documents, and clearing conditions are some of the processes that we also do at the College of Graduate Studies as well. So we provide services around application, admissions, scholarship, awards. We generally answer general questions, application process around minimum requirements. The College of Graduate Studies does not offer academic advising services, nor will we be able to provide any pre-assessment of your credentials. So if you have determined a program that you want to attend and you are not sure if this is a program and you think maybe I have a B or a C in this program, unless you submit a full application, we are unable to provide any sort of response of whether you are admissible to the program. So that admission teams will receive submitted applications, verify the receipt of the documents you've submitted. Our awards team will answer questions related to merit-based scholarships and award. If you have already reviewed the minimum requirements, please use your best judgment to determine whether you meet those requirements before submitting an application. Next slide. So the role of the graduate programs. Graduate programs are able to answer prospective inquiries related to programs, can provide academic advising, so they'll be better able to give you information about the program structure, what courses you need to take, who you need to talk to in terms of getting more information about whether your program of study or your research area, who that better aligns with. So if you have questions about that, the best team to speak to is the program assistant or the program coordinator within that program. They also reviews and evaluates completed applications and then will submit recommendations to the College of Graduate Studies. If you're having trouble deciding which program to apply to, this is the best place to go, as they can provide you more in-depth information about what that program or what degree that you'd like to study has to offer. If you have questions around career opportunities, teaching assistantship, research assistantships, or any awards at the program level, your best bet is to speak to the program assistant or graduate program coordinator within that particular program. So before you apply, it is important that you know why. So take an inventory of your passion and motivation. Ask yourself, why do I want to pursue graduate degree? What do I hope to achieve from going back to school? That answer will generally help you guide you through the process. Do your research, explore options, make sure the program focus matches your goals, keep goals-oriented goals in mind, course-based or research. So the College of Graduate Studies, we have research-based programs and we have course-based programs. Not all graduate degrees are created equally. Even the same discipline or program focus can vary. Does the program you're interested in emphasize theory, original research, or more practical application knowledge? This should be top of mind when you're choosing the degree you desire to pursue. For some careers, an advanced degree is better suited and will give you an edge in that career path. If a graduate degree is needed for a career, you should choose a program that adequately prepares you for that program. Generally speaking, students contemplating a PhD or an academic career are better served with a research program. Professional course-based master's degree are more structured and more focused on providing direct application of knowledge in teaching and educational administration context with that program. So that will help you determine whether your degree should be course-based or research-based. Next slide. If you choose a research program, it is important that you identify a prospective supervisor. So after you have clearly identified which program you want to study, if the program you want to study turns out to be a research program, you now need to identify a prospective supervisor. It's important to develop a short list, start this process very early, do your research, write concisely and professionally. So most thesis-based programs require you, as I said before, to contact potential supervisors. So on our website that I provided earlier, you can go there and there's a drop down of how to contact potential supervisors. And if you click on the specific program, for example, if you want to do education, if you go into the education tab and you click on supervisors, you will see the supervisors, and it will provide a brief synopsis of their area of expertise or their research background and contact information. Your best bet is to email them. As I said before, do a short list. So you might want to review multiple supervisors to see the different supervisors that match your research interests and reach out to them as early as possible. Familiarize yourself with the potential supervisor's research interests. And as I said, there's a brief synopsis there with also a link that can provide you further details of what that supervisor is currently working on. And you can better be able to understand or see if there's a potential match there for you. Our professors get dozens of emails from students. So if you want to stand out, you must give the professor all the information needed to quickly make a decision. Be concise, use complete sentences, use spell check, because if they look at it and the document is not done properly, then that's going to be a red flag for them as well. Ensure that you connect the work you want to do with the work that the supervisor is currently doing. So that's the research interests. Include any scholarships you have won, as well as research projects, publications you have contributed to. If you already have funding, state the amount you have, duration, and the source. So when you reach out to any potential supervisor, it is important that you also have these funding conversations so you can ensure, or you're better able to have a better picture of what sort of funding that supervisor can provide to you, what sort of guidance they can provide for you to get additional funding, and to see where the gap is in terms of how much money you would need to start your program. If you are generally or get to a point where you are struggling to identify a supervisor, your best bet is to reach out to the grad program coordinator or assistant, and they can be better guide you into other avenues that you can use to contact or connect with professors. As I said before, professors are very busy in their schedule oftentimes are all over the place. And so if you send an email and you have not received a response, oftentimes it's just that they're busy, which is why, as I said in the beginning, it's important that you start this process very early by contacting the supervisor at the onset, so you have enough time, or they have enough time to review and provide a response to you whether or not they will be supervising you or would like to supervise you in the future. If you still have not heard from a faculty member, have to send in a message, follow up politely reminding them that you sent an email before, and usually they will reach out. If not, I would recommend moving to another professor on your short list. And as you move through the list, I'm just reading that question there from Olivia. It's hard to say how long a supervisor will take to respond, Olivia. Next slide. So as I briefly mentioned before, when you contact a supervisor, it's important to have those conversations about money or funding, how you are going to fund your degree program. Know how you're going to fund the degree, as tuition, living expenses, etc. Plan ahead. Do not rely on possibility of scholarships and awards. External scholarships are very competitive. Internal scholarships can be competitive as well. While programs might provide some funding, funding is not generally for your entire program. Determine whether you can work full-time or part-time while completing your program. Know the details of the different funding sources where you can get funding from. Ask prospective supervisors about potential funding, as they might be able to direct you in the right place. They might be able to provide you guidance of how you apply for these funding. Are there employment opportunities available within the program, such as teaching or research apprenticeship, internship, or co-op education that you can use to fund your education? Will you apply for scholarships or more? Would you need assistance with bursary or student loans? These are the conversations you need to be asking yourself. Professional programs generally are not funded. So if you're applying to a professional program, and professional programs generally are those that are course-based, like social work or an MEd in education, those are not generally funded. So you would need to think clearly if you're going to go into a course-based program of how you're going to fund that program. Next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about eligibility requirements, and this is just the surface. To receive admission to UBC, there are a number of factors that the program will consider. And so these are just the minimum requirements for you to consider before submitting an application of whether you meet those. Minimum academic requirements for Canadian or American institutions. If you're applying to a master's degree, applicants must hold an academic equivalent of a 4-year bachelor's degree with a minimum overall of B+. That's 76 to 79 at UBC. And we generally will use a 3rd-year courses and up to do a GPA for a master's applicant. If you're applying to a doctoral program, applicants must hold the academic equivalent of a master's degree with clear evidence of research ability or potential and a minimum overall in B+ range, 76 to 79. Research ability, that's something you can discuss when you're having those conversations again with your supervisor to clearly identify if you meet the requirement, if you meet that requirement. Applicants who do not meet these requirements, but who have had significant formal training relevant to professional experience may also be granted admissions on the recommendation, appropriate graduate program, faculty, and approval of the Dean of the College of Graduate Studies. UBC also has a credential guide that you can use for different countries. You see that at the bottom of the screen there. That's www.grad.ubc.ca/countries. And so if you're uncertain whether or not you meet those requirements, you can look at that website and that will provide you some guidance. So generally for international applicants, if you're a master's applicant, you must hold a credential deemed academic equivalent to a four-year bachelor's from approved institution who demonstrates superior academic standing. As I said, you can verify that at the website just below the screen there. You can go ahead and click on your country, click on your institution, and that will help you to determine if that institution is approved or recognized by UBC. It will also show you the different grades, conversion, and compared to UBC, and whether you would be admissible from that institution. Doctoral applicants holding a credential deemed academically equivalent to a Canadian two-year master's degree. So if you have a master's degree from another country, again, you can use the website below to determine if it's approved, again, if it meets the general GPA for conversion for UBC. And again, if you're uncertain, we will not do a pre-assessment of that for you. You must submit a full application before we'll actually look at whether your institution and your GPA actually meets UBC requirements. So another major element of your application is the English proficiency requirement. Applicants applying from universities outside of Canada at which English is not the primary language of instruction must present evidence of competency to pursue studies in English language. Before 2022, we only had 2 tests. Since then, we have expanded to 9 different tests shown on your screen here. TOEFL Essential, Duolingo, English. Those 2 is on a pilot project at the moment until 2025. And so if you do require to take an English test, these you can choose from any of these 9 tests, and those are acceptable by UBC Okanagan. Again, as I said, if you attended a post-secondary institution outside of Canada, if you think that the program was taught in English, for example, if you did a master's in education, say in India, if it's just the master's in education at that institution that was taught in English, you would still require English language tests. The primary language of the entire institution must be English. So it means that all the programs are taught in English or primarily taught in English. Tests must be taken within the last 24 months, so the last 2 years. So for your test scores to be valid, it must be taken within the last 2 years. When you apply, you can upload an official copy of your test score document. However, if you receive admission, we would require that the test scores be submitted to us directly from the test taking agent. My colleague Michelle would answer that question for you, Abaka. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Also, individual graduate programs may set higher English language proficiency scores those are generally listed on the College of Graduate website or on the program website. So although we, for example, IELTS, we might say you need a 6.5, the program might determine for you to be in that program that they need a 7.5. So if you're applying to that particular program, you must ensure that your test scores reflect those if you have to take an English language test. Next slide. So it's important that you pay attention to the deadlines. Application open 1 calendar year before the start date of a program. I understand life happens, and sometimes when the program opens, we might not, might not be the time that we decide to start our degree, because sometimes we're in, especially if we're changing careers and we decide, okay, we're going to go back to school. And then we go in search of a program. Once you have identified the program you'd like to apply for, it is important to identify what the deadline is to apply for that program. So you give yourself enough time to put your application together. Also, determine if you have enough time to contact references and stuff like that. If you have to get transcripts and stuff like that, you need to determine whether you will have enough time to meet the deadline before you apply. Generally, the application deadline and the document submission deadline are different. So there's a slight window there. So you could generally put an application in and try to track down the different documents that you might need to complete your application. The deadlines to complete application package can be found on our website again. That's the website that that's the website we spoke about at the beginning of the program. And you can find our deadlines there. Complete applications received by the deadline generally will receive some consideration. Some programs may accept complete applications after the posted deadline, but that's not a guarantee. So it's essential that you try your best to meet those deadlines. So this is a very important step when you are about to apply for your program. If you already have a CWL or you have already attended UBC, you are currently a staff member at UBC, it's important that you do not create a new CWL and use the current CWL that you have. If you have never attended UBC, then you'll create a CWL. If you do create another CWL and you had one before, then that's going to delay your application, as it will be stuck in the back end. And that sometimes generally takes a while for it to be merged together. If you're a Canadian, you will need to provide or upload Canadian citizenship or a permanent residency card when you're submitting that application. At present, for the 2024 intake, application for domestic students is $114. International applicants, $168.25. It is ensure that you also choose the right campus when you're applying. We are the Okanagan campus, as well as there is the Vancouver campus. The Vancouver campus is a 5-hour drive from our campus, so we are not closely situated. If you apply for the wrong campus, there's no way for us to transfer your application to the Vancouver campus. You will have to do another application. To make these payments, you must have a valid Visa or MasterCard to complete the payment for your application. You cannot use a debit card. If you don't have a Visa card, whether you're going to find a friend or a family member that you can put money on their card and they can use it for, you can use their card, but you must have a valid Visa or MasterCard to make the online application fee payment. Next slide. And the next slide is just going to give you a screenshot of the distance of the institutions. So Vancouver, as it says, it's a 5-hour or 7.5-hour drive. When you go into the application and you're looking for your program, the Okanagan campus programs will be on the right of the application. Vancouver programs will be on the left. So as I said before, it is crucial and important that you select the right campus, as we are unable to transfer your application to the Vancouver campus. So let's talk about your transcripts. So your transcripts will help to determine whether you meet the minimum requirements of the program you're applying to. We also require that you provide a complete academic history of your any post-secondary institution that you've attended. So any institution after high school, you must submit. We don't need any high school transcripts. Those are not required. If you have attended UBC, we would already have access to your transcripts, so that you do not have to submit. Ensure that when you are uploading your documents, you provide both the front and the back of the transcript. That should also include the grading scale of that transcript. Important, if there is no graduation date on your transcript, you should also include a degree certificate with your transcript. If you are still in progress, that's okay. If you're not completed your degree, then you can upload an in-progress transcript as well. We do accept web printouts, but those must have your name, the institution name, and all the courses that you have done or currently enrolled in. So at the onset of doing your application, you generally do not have to upload official transcript or submit official transcripts to the College of Graduate Studies. If you do receive admission, then you will, in your offer letter, we will request those official transcripts. So if you are also in progress, you do not need to send us an in-progress transcript multiple times. You need to send us a conferred, a transcript with your conferral date on it. That is the final transcript that you'll need to clear your condition and to get full admission in the program. So just some other considerations that you need to look at when you're actually preparing your transcripts. If your institution does not issue transcripts in English, you must submit a copy of the transcript in their original language as well as the English translation. And we have more details of how you can do this on our website. So you can visit our website if you have a transcript that is not in English, and to find out how you can have that translated and submitted to us. Conditional admission offers may be made based on official transcripts, as I said before. So you don't necessarily have to submit the official transcript to us until you get an official admission offer. Read instructions carefully when submitting official copies of your transcripts. If you apply for a transcript and have those transcripts sent to you directly before you send them to us, please do not open the transcripts. They must still be in a sealed envelope. If you open the transcript and try to close them again, we consider that as tampering with the transcript, and you will be asked to provide new transcript, as well as we can deem that as fraud. So if you're going to ask institutions to send you the transcript directly, please do not open them. Since the pandemic, we have also moved to accepting electronic transcripts. So you can also find out if the institutions that you have attended offers the service of sending out electronic transcript, and that's an easy and a faster way for us to get your official or in-progress transcripts from your institutions. Next slide. So your references also help to determine your admissibility to UBC. Generally, each program will need a minimum of 2 references, academic, professional references. Some programs might require more. Important to check on the website to see which programs might require additional references before applying. It is important to choose your referees wisely, reach out to them early, have those conversations with who you're asking to be your referee so you clearly know what they might write about you. We see too many times where students or applicants just select random people who might not be providing them with a favorable response. So it's important to have those conversations with who you're choosing to be your referee, so you have a clear understanding of that they know your skills, your academic experiences, and those individuals are in a good position to provide a good reference on your behalf. References are sent directly through the application system. The referees must have an institutional email to get that link. If the referees do not have an institutional email because you're applying from a country that does not allow faculty members to just randomly use their institutional email, then they must submit those references on a letterhead, an institutional letterhead, and those must be submitted directly to the College of Graduate Studies. So the referee cannot submit referees to the applicant, and then the applicant submit those references to the College of Graduate Studies. References must be submitted directly to the College of Graduate Studies. Next slide. So some programs may ask for a statement of purpose or a statement of intent, basically asking for an overview of what is it you intend to study, or how do you think that this program is the best program for you, and what you will bring to the program that you're applying for. Some programs will give you specific requirements of what they are looking for in a statement of purpose, but generally explain your motives for choosing your program and or supervisor, the person you want to work with. Highlight your suitability for the program. Include your interests, achievement, academic, professional goals, whereas as well as your academic career. What are you looking to do afterwards? What do you currently do? How have your previous studies or experiences prepared you to undertake the proposed research that you're trying to do? Also, clearly identify your research. What is it that you're looking to do? So your supervisor or the committee that is evaluating your application can clearly identify whether you meet the requirements to be in that particular program. So ask yourself, why do you want to pursue that degree? That answer can help you guide you through how you write your statement of purpose. No two program is the same. It's important to have a clear direction about what you'd like to achieve from that degree, and this can help shape how you write your statement of purpose. Next slide. So to pair your application English language test scores, so English language test scores checklist items added to all application. So once you submit an application, there would be a checklist that you must submit in English language test scores. As I said initially, this test must be taken within the last 24 months. If you meet the requirements by attending an institution primarily taught in English, then once your application is reviewed, this checklist will be removed. So if your application has not been reviewed, then this checklist will still be on your application as a requirement. But once our team goes in and reviews your application, then they will remove this checklist. A copy of the test score must be uploaded at the time of application. So you don't necessarily have to submit the original, because the original must come directly from the institution, but you must upload a copy of the test score if you are required to do so. Officials must be submitted by mail or electronically by testing agencies directly to the College of Graduate Studies. Again, if you think you meet the requirements, before you can send an email, we can provide a brief statement of whether or not you meet those. We can't go in depth of whether you meet it. As I said, if you think it has been there for a while, but your application has not been reviewed, there's no need to panic that you need to go do an English language test. Once our officers go in and review your application, they will determine whether or not you need that English test score and remove it. If they feel that you still do, they will make the necessary contact to say upload or that test score is required. Next slide. For some applications as well, you need to upload a CV or a resume. The CV is a little bit more detailed than a resume, and you can look up the difference between those two. Tailor your CV and resume to suit the program. So ensure that you review what the program requirements are. Some programs will also provide you with some guidance of what they're looking for in their CV. Ensure that you read that as well, and ensure that you put all the details in your CV that the program is looking for. You want to ensure that you have your education and all your credentials, employment history, your research experience, internship, voluntary work, any leadership roles that you have been, and then academic achievements that you have, such as scholarships being awarded. You want to ensure that that is listed in your CV as well. So for some programs, there are program-specific requirements, like a criminal record check. So if you're applying to social work or clinical psychology, this will be a requirement for that program. The Masters of Fine Arts require that you have a portfolio. So if you're applying to the Masters of Fine Arts, then you need to put together a portfolio to submit to that program. Some programs require that you have a scholarly writing sample, which is generally some research that you have done before in a previous program, whether it's undergrad or in a master's program. And this must be in English. Include the course paper, including like course papers, conferences, or publications. It's important that you choose the one that best demonstrates your ability to analyze a topic in the same or related field that you're applying for. So try not to just choose a random research paper, but try to shortlist that to ones or upload one that is more specific to the program or research area that you're looking to research, so the program can closely look at those together. So we have three other business partners that will be presenting today. That's Nathan, Nora, and Jason. And I'll hand over to Nathan first, and then afterwards Nora will go, and then Jason. Over to you, Nathan.
Thanks, Damien. Great talk so far, and I'm responding to the plethora of questions in the Q&A, so thanks for those. Keep them coming. I'm going to talk briefly on funding your studies. So I have maybe 3 slides here. It's just a small snippet of the roadmap towards funding your studies. We'll cover mainly merit-based awards. As Damien mentioned, that's primarily what the college supports. The other sources of funding, as it will become more clear as you get into the process of your application, discussing with your supervisor, there are different sources of funding available to you, some of which we do not really cover, but I will mention them here briefly, as Damien already did. Research assistantships take a generous portion of most students' funding packages, and these are provided by your supervisor. So any questions about research assistantships should definitely be directed towards your prospective supervisor. The teaching assistantships is mainly provided by your graduate program or home department. And these, again, can be discussed with your supervisor in collaboration with the graduate program to which you are applying. There's also bursaries or non-merit-based awards, and these go through enrollment services. So these, through the UBC Okanagan website, you can find these opportunities. We don't have them on our website. You can see the funding path is quite complex because there's all these different people you need to talk to. But the one thing that you need to do from the get-go is develop a plan. As Damien mentioned, it's best to talk early and often with your prospective supervisors so you can convey what your expectations are, and they can let you know what the actual outcome might be for when you start your program. Funding types, funding sources are going to vary differently for each student depending on the program you're in and the type of research you're doing. So that's one thing we can help you with. So that's always default, is go to your prospective supervisor to have these talks with. For the merit-based awards that we can help you with here, we have our award opportunities on that link you can see on the slide. This is a great first step to click into our database and filter based on the eligibility of citizenship, degree level, whether you're an incoming or continuing student, and if it's open or closed. There are a handful of awards here which may be of interest to you, and I always recommend, before you get into your degree, just scour that website, take a note of what type of awards and what awards specifically are available to you, so you can start developing the schedule, because all of them follow a timeline on when the deadlines for when the award competition opens and when it closes. So you need to make sure you have everything in line so you don't miss any opportunities. At the bottom, the bold highlight, that is the primary way in which research-based or thesis-based students receive award funding, and that is the UBC Okanagan Graduate Research Scholarships, OGRES for short, so just think Shrek. This is a package of funding delivered to graduate programs, and then they can award to their incoming and continuing students. If you're in a research-based program, you're more than likely going to receive one of these awards. And we can't help with that because we don't determine the recipients of these awards. This is a good question for your supervisor and graduate program. Next slide, please. We at the college manage some campus-wide adjudication and selection for some external awards. The big awards you may know about if you're pursuing a research degree are the tri-agency scholarships. The tri-agency scholarships have award opportunities available regardless of your research area. They have the 3 agencies in which they support health-related research, natural sciences, and social sciences and humanities. For master's students, there's a specific competition and one for doctoral students. This one is only open for Canadian or permanent residents of Canada, although the doctoral one has, we have a competition for international students, the Killam, which aligns with the doctoral competition. These are the most prestigious awards, and we do recommend, if eligible, students always apply to these. It's competitive, but also a fantastic learning opportunity to perfect your writing skills, developing a proposal, trying to explain to the world why your research is important and why you should do it is a good skill that any incoming student should be starting on. And you don't have to be in your program to start this. You can apply for the scholarship so that when you start your program next year, you have it there for you. There are other external awards which we do not support. We do not actively promote because there's just too many of them. But we do provide some links there, the 3 bolded links that you can see in the middle of the slide. And we do try to answer questions if they do come up, but routinely we will just forward you to the agencies responsible for administering and adjudicating those awards. Next slide, please. If you are a PhD student, in 2021, we've implemented a funding policy for PhD students so that you obtain a certain amount of funding for each year that you're eligible to hold at that funding. And that is currently $22,000 per year for up to 4 years of your PhD. This $22,000 is from the variety of funding sources which we discussed earlier, which could be internal, external scholarships, research or teaching assistantships, or other academic assistantships. This is to ensure that all PhD students can focus primarily on their research and don't have to go out and work full-time hours, which will directly impact a lot of the work that you do. So there are opportunities for students to exempt from the policy. I know some students, they want to be admitted, but they are currently a full-time teacher and they want to get into, an education program. There are opportunities to do that, and I've responded to a few questions in the chat about how to do that and those discussions you have with your supervisor and graduate program. There's currently no minimum funding policy for master's students, but it's something that we're working on to ensure that all funding requirements are met across the campus. Also, this does not apply to course-based programs or course-based students. Next slide, Damien. That might be all for me. I think so. So I'll fade off and I will respond to some Q&A questions as they come up. Thank you.
Okay. In January, we'll have a more specific webinar for Indigenous applicants, but just to provide an overview of IPS, it provides community and cultural appropriate services to support First Nation, Métis, and Inuit students. Also has student advising, counseling, social and cultural events, workshop, tutoring, mentorship, academic planning. They also provide application support. Application support will generally come through me. If you have any questions about submitting an application and you are Indigenous and you have questions, you can email me, damien.bell@ubc.ca, and I can provide you with some support. IPS also provides a supportive team that offers individual support, referrals, and advocacy. They are located in UNC 210. All students are welcome to use it. That room, they have a study space, kitchen, gathering space, and computers. So all students are welcome to use that space. You don't have to be Indigenous. So if you'd like to visit the IPS Center or the Indigenous Center is in 210. Again, if you're an Indigenous applicant and you have queries, you can email me, damien.bell@ubc.ca. And again, we'll have a more specific webinar in January for Indigenous applicants. And I think Nora will be presenting next.
Thank you, Damien. Yes, hello to all the students who are logging in from all over the world. My name is Nora Lambrecht, and I am the International Student Advisor and Immigration Consultant with the Global Engagement Office. I'm also the Graduate Student Specialist. So what is the Global Engagement Office? We would like to consider ourselves as the international students sort of space, home away from home, and a support service for international students. We understand that applying for graduate school is already quite complicated and challenging, but international students have an extra added complication when it comes to applying for study permits. And if you're coming with your spouses or children, trying to navigate how to settle in Canada, health insurance, everything that is an added sort of extra level of navigation for international students, we are here to help you. So if you guys can sort of make sure you have our website and all the services that we offer, keep an eye on that. But who we are, like I said, we're 4 immigration consultants. We are advisors. We come from all over the globe. I'm Iranian by birth, but have lived all over the world. And we also have students and an office for students, domestic or international, who would like to go abroad as part of their program. That's open to all students. So that's another aspect of our office that might be interesting to you. We do a lot of intercultural programming and international programming. What we actually do is really support and advise you from the time or even before the time you arrive to almost to the end of graduation and to the point of where you may be thinking for the international students of applying for permanent residency. We have recently employed one of our colleagues who will do specific permanent residency webinars and sessions that you will be able to access. We help you with settlement. We help you with cultural challenges. So, for example, how to navigate communication with your supervisor, or how to navigate services on campus. All the things that are available through the College of Graduate Studies, but also through our office, specifically for international students to navigate. If we can go to the next slide, Damien. So again, who are we and what do we help with? We are regulated Canadian international student advisors, and what we are actually, we have the most updated information about study permits, visas, if you're in a co-op program, work eligibility, can I work in Canada as a student? When you graduate, what are the postgraduate work permit requirements, permanent residency, like I said, general immigration questions. But that's not the only thing. It may be the main thing that we do, but also settlement, medical services, social insurance, cultural adjustment. Like I said, it's sort of your space to come and get support as an international student, or if you're a domestic student and want to go abroad. All of those can be done through our office. We're happy to receive your emails, or you can pop into our online or virtual advising sessions that are posted on our website if you have questions about study permit, initial applications. So yes, so that's what we do. And I really look forward to meeting all of you when you come on campus eventually. Thank you. That's it for me.
And over to Jason from DRC, that's Disabilities Resource Center.
Thanks, Damien. Thanks, Nora. Hi, everyone. My name is Jason Taylor. I'm an accessibility advisor at the Disability Resource Center on the Okanagan campus of UBC. I'm here to chat with you about accessing our resources. So we are the office which supports students with disabilities and disabled students. I'll just give you a brief overview. Can you advance all of these? Yeah, sorry, that's good, thanks. There are 5 accessibility advisors who work with students in different faculty. We support students at all levels. So we have approximately 10% of the student population who are registered with our office. And we do ongoing registration throughout the year. And so, this week I have a number of intakes that I'm running. There are a number of exam team members who facilitate exam-based accommodations. That primarily impacts undergraduate students, but it can sometimes intersect with graduate student requirements. And then we have administrative staff members who do intake, admin, reception, these kinds of things. Our intake process asks you to, so we're guided by policy LR7, which is the university's duty to accommodate people with long-term disabilities, permanent disabilities, or chronic health conditions. You can begin that student registration, and I would recommend, so for students who, if you're in the prospective student stage, beginning that process is not necessary, but as soon as you are accepted into your program, start to register with us if you have a chronic health condition or a permanent disability. If you are not sure whether or not your condition in particular would apply, please contact us at the email on the screen here, drc.questions@ubc.ca. That will go to the receptionist, but it will ultimately be forwarded to me. I'm the graduate student liaison, one of 2, and I can respond to your queries about those things. The intake process requires a self-assessment form, which is a self-declaration of your chronic health condition or disability and an indication of how you're impacted by it and how you anticipate needing supports from our office so that we can start that ball rolling. There's a chance for you to upload medical documentation as well. Policy LR7 does require that you have medical documentation to confirm your chronic health condition or permanent disability, but we work with students who try to seek documentation that meets LR7's requirements. And if you have you have questions about or need more information about what those documents could be, please just email drc.questions. And again, it will be forwarded to me, and we'll touch base to try to figure those things out. So who do we support? Next slide, please. It's a wide range of disabilities and students with disabilities. So as I said, it's roughly 10% of the student population. It's at all levels. And it includes visible as well as invisible disabilities. So it's not just physical disabilities. So I'm myself of hard of hearing. My right ear doesn't work at all. My left ear is about 50% functional. But if you just look at me, you can't tell because I don't wear my hearing aids, because I don't like the stigma of the hearing aids, and I don't like people looking at me like I'm deaf. I'm better with it now, but I just got used to lip reading. But there are students who experience mental health disorders, mental health impacts, ADHD, anxiety, chronic health conditions, post-concussive syndrome. So not concussion symptoms, but post-concussive syndrome. So a number of different concussions whose impacts are ongoing. If you're unsure whether or not you qualify, again, just email us and we will try to connect you. The office has grown and our interaction with students has really grown over the last 2-3 years. So last year we more than doubled the exams that we were invigilating, just to give you some sense. So last year we invigilated over 11,000 exams through the academic year of 22-23, which is so many for an exam team of 4 and the advisors of 5. So reach out to us early and reach out to us often for any barriers that you might have so that we can support. And that's, next slide, please. That's the primary suggestion that I would have is, as the graduate student liaison, we're often connected with students whose who are reaching out because the relationship with their supervisor has deteriorated dramatically and they just don't know what to do. And they tried to navigate their graduate degree without connecting with our office. And you know, those are difficult scenarios to work through as a graduate student. I finished my MA and PhD, and I was fortunate enough to have a understanding and flexible and accommodating graduate supervisor. But sometimes those relationships fall apart. And so the most important piece of advice that I would offer is to reach out early if you anticipate having any sort of concerns or barriers, so that we can try to determine what kinds of accommodations can be warranted given policy LR7 and the program needs and the barriers that you're experiencing. So we try to balance those three things: the disability related needs, the program requirements, and how those might be enacted within the bounds of the policy. I'm in regular, constant, productive contact with the College of Graduate Studies and the associate deans there and the dean himself to talk about what policy permits and doesn't permit, and what the reasonable accommodations would be for students who experience these kind of disability-related barriers. So we really have a solution-oriented approach to the kinds of barriers that you experience, and it's quite a different kind of process than in the undergraduate degree, just because much of what happens in the undergraduate degree is much more predictable, right? You'll write some papers, you'll take some tests, but in your graduate program, there are a number of different things that you might have to do that are differently structured, comprehensive exams, 3 months long and difficult, and I know these. So reach out early, touch base with us, get registered. Don't wait for things to have fallen apart, because that's, you know, it can take us time to get to the point where we're actually able to reasonably consider, or to consider reasonable accommodations. So yeah, reach out if you can. And again, that email is drc.questions@ubc.ca. Thanks.
Thanks, Nathan, Nora, and Jason. And if you guys have any burning questions for them, you can just put those in the Q&A, and they can do their best to answer those questions as well. You can also email their generic website that they just, email address that they just mentioned as well. So to continue, after submitting your application, you can only upload documents until the document deadline, edit references after you've submitted your application. So you cannot make any changes to the content. Allow yourself plenty of time to fill out the application. The application generally takes about 30 to 45 minutes to complete. You can save and go back into the application before submitting as well. So ensure that you have enough time before the application submission deadline before you start your application. You can upload documents and manage references after the submission, as I said. Check your application status regularly. Locate your application on the submitted application. So once you submit your application, you will receive an email with a link that will show you how to log back into your the application and check the status, as well as upload any documents that you did not upload when you were applying. You'll also be sent emails via the application system periodically to remind you that a document is missing, or one of my colleagues will also reach out to you if there is an issue with a document that you uploaded, or out of courtesy, just to let you know that a document is missing and you should upload the document before the deadline. Check your email regularly, including junk mail. If you've set up your mail not to receive specific mails from UBC, sometimes they'll go to junk mail. So check there if you have not received. If you've submitted an application and you have not received the confirmation email, just check in your junk mail if it's there. We receive a large volume of mail during the admission season, and admission season is, we're right now going into the crunch in from the 1st of December right up to the 31st of March. So the busy season is right around the corner. So our response time general will be about 10 business days. If you have submitted and we have not responded, it's not that your email is being ignored. We've just not gotten to that email in the queue. Sending several emails will not get it answered any faster because those emails will be in queue. And so we'll respond to those emails as soon as we get to them. Just bear in mind, as I said before, we're entering our busy time. And so on a given day, there can be 3,000 to 4,000 emails in the inbox. You'll be notified when your application is sent for review. So once we have reviewed your application and we send that to the program to have it reviewed, you will receive confirmation of that. And so you can log in again, as I said, periodically to check what the status of your application is. Be patient. After the deadline, it generally takes about 8 to 12 weeks for the program to make a decision on your application. If you applied to the program in September and it closes January 31st, it does not mean that there'll be a decision the first week of February. Because you've applied several months before does not mean as soon as the application closes, you'll get a response. Generally, after the application deadline is passed, that's when the program will start to review all the applications to determine who will get an admission decision. So just wait 8 to 12 weeks before you start sending us emails of what the status of your application is. As well as I said before, please utilize your application, log into your application to see what the status of the application is. Once an admission decision is received and processed, you will be notified of the outcome. So once we get that confirmation, we will send you a notification. If at the time there's something missing, we'll let you know that there's an admission decision. For example, if you have not submitted your official English test score and those are required, we will be unable to submit an admission, send an admission decision to you. So we will contact you at that point to remind you to provide your English test scores before we can send out that admission decision. Successful applicants must accept the admission within the offer deadline, by the offer deadline date. If you miss that date, reach out to the program and have a conversation with them. Oftentimes, they have a short list. And so if you have not accepted your offer, generally they will be moving to the next person on that short list. And so that spot may no longer be available. So if you have missed the deadline, you'd have to reach out to the program to have that conversation. When in doubt, please reach out to our admission officers at graduatestudies.ok@ubc.ca resources/forms/contact us, or as well as you can send emails to gradask.ok@ubc.ca, and we'll try and answer your questions as soon as possible.